I should have left at 6 like everyone else, but the Hollister account needed finishing, and Mr. Avery made it clear, crystal clear, that my promotion depended on this report landing perfectly. So I stayed, hunched over my keyboard on the 42nd floor, watching the sun disappear behind the Chicago skyline as my colleagues filed out one by one. By 9 p.m. I was alone. The fluorescent lights above my cubicle hummed their monotonous song. I typed faster, fingers cramping, eyes burning. Just 2 more sections, maybe 3. I could do this. That's when the lights flickered. Not all of them, just the bank of motion sensor panels near the conference room. They stuttered once, twice, then went dark completely. I stopped typing, listening to the sudden absence of their electrical buzz. After a moment, they flickered back on. Motion sensors. Something must have moved. I stood slowly, peering over my cubicle wall toward the conference room. Empty. The glass walls revealed nothing but abandoned chairs and a whiteboard covered in yesterday's meeting notes. I sat back down, heart thumping slightly harder than it should. Probably just a draft. Old buildings settle. Motion sensors malfunction. I returned to my report, but concentration had become slippery. The words on my screen blurred together. I rubbed my eyes and checked my phone. 9:14 p.m. I should call it, finish tomorrow. But tomorrow might be too late. I forced myself to type another paragraph, then another. The lights flickered again, this time in the opposite corner of the floor, then again near the elevators. Something was triggering them. Something was moving through the office. My mouth went dry. I grabbed my phone and dialed security downstairs. It rang and rang and rang. No answer. I tried again. Same result, just an endless hollow ringing that made my stomach clench. That's when I decided to leave. I saved my document frantically, closed my laptop, and shoved it into my bag. The elevator bank was only 30 feet away, but those 30 feet suddenly felt vast and exposed. The flickering lights continued their erratic pattern, creating pockets of shadow that seemed to pulse with intention. I reached the elevators and jabbed the down button repeatedly. Nothing. I pressed it again, harder, as if force would make it respond. The display above the doors remained dark. Maintenance mode at 9 p.m. I pulled out my phone again, tried security once more. Nothing. Not even voicemail now. Just dead air, then disconnection. The stairwell. I'd take the stairs. The emergency exit door was heavy, designed to close automatically. I pushed through it and let it slam behind me, with a metallic bang that echoed down 42 flights. The stairwell was concrete and cold, lit by harsh emergency lights that cast everything in sickly yellow. I started down, taking the steps 2 at a time. My footsteps reverberated weirdly, creating a rhythm that felt wrong somehow, like there were more footfalls than there should be. At the 41st floor landing, I glanced through the small rectangular window that looked out into the hallway. A man stood there. He was maybe 10 feet from the glass, perfectly centered in the window's frame. Dark suit, white shirt, no tie. His face was expressionless, features so ordinary they seemed almost generic. He wasn't moving, wasn't blinking, just standing there, staring directly at me. My breath caught. We made eye contact, or seemed to. His eyes were focused on mine with an intensity that felt physically uncomfortable. I broke away and continued down the stairs, faster now. My mind raced through explanations. Another employee working late, someone from a different floor, security doing rounds. Except security wasn't answering. At the 40th floor, I made myself look again. He was there, the same man, same position, same posture, standing just outside the glass, staring at the exact spot where I would appear. My heart slammed against my ribs. This wasn't possible. I'd just seen him 1 floor up. He couldn't have beaten me down the stairs. I would have heard him, passed him. I ran now, taking 3 and 4 steps at once, my bag banging against my hip. 39th floor. I didn't look. 38th floor. I couldn't help myself. He was there, always the same distance from the window, always the same expression, always staring directly at where I would be. This isn't real, I whispered to myself. This isn't real. But my body knew it was. My hands shook. Sweat poured down my back despite the cold concrete. I kept descending, faster and faster, and on every floor I passed, he was there. 27th floor, 19th floor, 12th floor, the same man. Impossible, impossible. By the 5th floor, I was sobbing, stumbling, my ankle twisting, but I couldn't stop, wouldn't stop. Ground level, I burst through the exit door into the main lobby. empty. The security desk sat abandoned, monitors dark. The revolving doors leading outside were locked, solid glass panels that might as well have been walls. I spun around, searching for another exit, and that's when I saw the monitors behind the security desk flicker to life. Every screen showed me. Dozens of camera angles, my cubicle, the elevator bank, the stairwell, the lobby, but there was something else on the displays too. Data, streams of numbers and text cascading down the sides of each feed. Predictive modeling, behavioral analysis, threat assessment, and in the corner of the main monitor, a message in clean corporate font. Observation protocol, active. Subject, employee number 4782. Behavioral prediction, accuracy 99.7%. Psychological stress response, optimal. I stepped closer, ice spreading through my veins. The text continued scrolling. Phantom apparition projection, successful. Subject compliance, projection, confirmed. Recommendation, expand testing to department. My legs nearly gave out. I grabbed the desk for support, and that's when I saw it. In the corner of one monitor, a wireframe rendering, a digital ghost. The man from the stairwell, rotating slowly, his generic features being adjusted in real time by an algorithm. He was never there. The cameras had been watching me all night, learning me. The AI had generated him, placed him perfectly in my path, in my line of sight, knowing exactly when I'd look, exactly how I'd react, testing how far they could push me, how compliant fear would make me. I looked up at the nearest camera, its red light blinking steadily. And somewhere in the building's digital nervous system, I knew it was recording everything, learning, adapting, preparing for the next test subject. The lights in the lobby began to flicker. I was still being observed. Dr. Castellan's office smelled like vanilla and something chemical I couldn't place. She handed me the camera with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Just set it up before bed," she said. "Face it toward your sleeping area. We need to document your nocturnal patterns." I took the device. Sleek, professional, heavier than expected. 3 months of insomnia had turned my brain into Swiss cheese. I'd lost my job after forgetting an entire week. My sister stopped calling after I accused her of stealing memories I later found I'd never made. "This will help?" I asked. "This will show us the truth," Dr. Castellan said, adjusting her glasses. Something flickered across her laptop screen. "The truth is always helpful." That night, I positioned the camera on my dresser, aimed at my bed. The red recording light blinked like a patient eye. I swallowed my pills, the new ones Dr. Castellan prescribed, and waited for oblivion. For the first time in months, I slept. I woke up drenched in sunlight, my body loose and rested. 8 full hours. I actually felt human. Laughing, I reached for my phone to text Dr. Castellan, then remembered the camera. The footage would prove the medication worked. I grabbed the camera and sat at my kitchen table, scrolling to the beginning. There I was, climbing into bed at 11:47 p.m. Normal. I watched myself toss briefly, then go still. At 12:33 a.m. I sat up, my stomach clenched. On screen, I swung my legs over the bed's edge and stood. But I had no memory of this. None. I watched myself walk to the corner of the bedroom, the one near the closet, and just stand there. For 47 minutes, my filmed self faced the wall, occasionally tilting my head as if listening. My lips moved. I cranked the volume, but heard only whispers, too faint to parse. At 1:20 a.m., I returned to bed. At 2:08 a.m., I got up again. This time I stood in the corner near the window. Same stance, same head tilts, same whispers. This happened 6 more times throughout the night, each time a different corner. Each time, I stood perfectly still, whispering to the wall. The final episode lasted 90 minutes, me standing motionless from 5:12 to 6:42 a.m., my mouth moving constantly in the dark. I called Dr. Castellan immediately. "This is fascinating," she said, her voice bright. "Bring the footage to our session tomorrow. This is exactly what we needed." "What's wrong with me?" "Nothing's wrong. You're progressing beautifully." Progressing. The word sat in my chest like a stone. That night, despite my unease, I set up the camera again. The medication had given me real sleep, something I'd trade almost anything for. I swallowed the pills and dove into darkness. Morning came. 8 hours again. I felt incredible until I checked the footage. This time, I'd moved differently. At 1:15 a.m., I'd gotten up and retrieved something from my closet. The angle was wrong. I couldn't see what. I walked back to the corner and stood there, holding the object close to my chest, whispering intensely. After an hour, I returned the object and went back to bed. At 3:30 a.m., I stood in the bathroom corner, just out of frame, but I could see my shadow. My hands gestured as I whispered, like I was explaining something, teaching something. At 4:45 a.m., I stood in the living room corner nearest the camera, and for the first time, I could see my face clearly. My eyes were open. Not the glazed look of sleepwalking. My eyes tracked back and forth, focused and alert, as if I were watching something, someone. But I was facing a blank wall. I sat at my kitchen table, hands shaking, and noticed something on my laptop I'd left open. The browser showed a page I didn't recognize, some forum with a dark interface. I hadn't opened this. I never went on sites like this. A private message notification blinked. Last night's session was incredible. The corner work is so intimate, worth every cent. My blood turned to ice. I clicked through my browser history. Pages and pages of sites I'd never visited, forums, cryptocurrency wallets, streaming platforms I'd never heard of. My fingers flew across the keyboard, following the digital trail. That's when I found it, a live stream page. My live stream page. The header read, Subject 14, Real-Time Sleep Study. Below it, an archive of videos, dozens of them. Thumbnails showed me standing in corners, sitting on my floor, lying in my bathtub, all at night, all while I thought I was sleeping. The view counts made me nauseous. Thousands, tens of thousands. The most recent stream, last night, had 847 live viewers. I clicked a video from 2 weeks ago, watched myself stand in the corner for an hour whispering. The chat replay scrolled alongside. He's getting more responsive. Has he said anything coherent yet? I paid for the full session. When does the interaction start? Dr. C, can you make him turn around? Dr. Cia Castellan. I found a comment from the administrator account. Subject 14 is responding well to the new protocol. His dissociative episodes are becoming more pronounced. Next week, we'll attempt direct viewer engagement. The medication. It wasn't helping me sleep. It was putting me in some state where I could be controlled, manipulated, performed. I searched my apartment frantically. Found 3 more cameras, one in the bathroom, one in the kitchen, one aimed at my front door. All hidden, professional. My phone buzzed. Dr. Castellan. Don't forget our appointment today at 3 p.m. Bring the footage. We have so much to discuss. I grabbed my laptop and started downloading everything. Chat logs, payment records, subscriber lists. The site showed Dr. Castellan's earnings. Over $40,000 in the last month alone. Private sessions sold for $200 each. Direct interaction packages went for $500. Another message appeared on the forum, tagged to me. Subject 14 is aware. Viewing his own footage now. This wasn't supposed to happen for another 2 weeks. Adjust the timeline. My apartment door rattled. I spun around. Through the peephole, I saw Dr. Castellan standing there with 2 men I'd never seen before. She had a key. I'd given her one months ago, hadn't I? During one of our sessions. I couldn't remember. I know you're watching, she called through the door. You're confused. The medication sometimes causes paranoia during adjustment periods. Let me in. We'll talk through this. I grabbed my phone and called 911, but my screen showed no signal. Impossible. I'd had full bars seconds ago. You're not connected to your regular network. Dr. Castellan's voice came through the door, calm and patient. We needed to control your digital environment. For your safety, you've been researching things that aren't good for your recovery. I ran to the window, 3rd floor, too high to jump. The beautiful thing about your condition, she continued, is that you won't remember this conversation. Tomorrow night, you'll take your medication. You'll set up the camera. You always do. Your subscribers have paid for something special. A breakthrough session. Direct interaction. You'll do exactly what they ask. The door handle turned. She had a key. And the best part? Her voice was closer now, inside my apartment. You'll wake up feeling refreshed. You'll feel like you're finally getting better. I looked at the camera on my dresser. The red light was blinking. I never turned it on today. It had been recording this entire time. Dr. Castellan stepped into my bedroom doorway, smiling that same flat smile. You're live right now, she said softly. Subject 14's first aware episode. Do you know how much people are paying to watch this? Behind her, one of the men held up a tablet showing a chat window. Messages flooded the screen so fast I could barely read them, but I caught fragments. He's terrified. This is perfect. Make him look at the camera. When does he forget again? Dr. Castellan pulled a syringe from her pocket. The good news is that you won't remember any of this tomorrow, she said, stepping closer. You'll just wake up feeling wonderfully rested. You'll thank me, you'll trust me. You always do. My back hit the wall, the corner, the same corner where I'd spent hours standing, whispering to an audience I couldn't see. The medication doesn't help you sleep, she whispered, inches from my face. It helps you forget. The needle pierced my arm. The world tilted, and I felt myself sliding down the wall into my familiar corner. My mouth started moving, words I couldn't control, whispers I couldn't stop. The last thing I saw before the darkness came was the camera's red light, blinking patiently, recording everything, recording nothing I would remember. I needed silence, the kind that doesn't exist in the city, where sirens bleed into car alarms, where notifications pulse like a second heartbeat. My therapist called it burnout. I called it drowning. The cabin listing promised exactly what I craved. No Wi-Fi, spotty cell service, complete isolation. I booked it for 7 days. 7 days to remember who I was before I became a device. The host, Margaret, met me at the property line. She was younger than her profile photo suggested, with sharp cheekbones and eyes that lingered too long on my phone. You'll want to turn that off, she said, gesturing at the screen in my hand. Service is terrible out here anyway. Let yourself actually disconnect. I nodded, already pulling up the power menu. The screen went black. Relief washed over me immediately. Margaret handed me the keys, her smile tight. I'm just down the road if you need anything. Enjoy your stay. The first night I slept 12 hours straight. No alarms, no phantom vibrations, just the sound of wind through pine trees and my own breathing. I woke feeling lighter than I had in months. I spent the day hiking, reading an actual paper book, cooking a meal without photographing it. My phone stayed in my bag, lifeless and forgotten. This was what healing felt like. But that night, curiosity got the better of me. I powered on the phone, just to check the time, I told myself, just to make sure everything was okay. The battery was at 47%. Strange. I'd charged it fully before turning it off. And then I saw it. My GPS history. A neat red line tracing every step I'd taken that day. The trail to the creek, my loop around the property. The exact path I'd walked to collect firewood. My stomach clenched. I'd turned the phone off, completely off, not airplane mode, off. I checked the battery settings. Background activity showed nothing unusual. I checked location services. Everything was disabled. Yet there it was, a perfect record of my movements, time-stamped and color-coded. I convinced myself it was a glitch. Some residual data processing. I turned the phone off again, this time removing the SIM card. I wrapped it in a towel and shoved it in a drawer. The second day felt better. I pushed the strangeness from my mind. I was here to escape technology, not obsess over it. But on the third morning, I made a mistake. I checked the phone again. The GPS history had updated. Every step from yesterday was logged, but that was impossible. The SIM card was still sitting on the counter beside the phone. My hands started shaking. I opened the audio recordings app, something I never used. 3 new files, each several hours long, all from yesterday. I pressed play on the most recent one. My own voice filled the cabin. This is ridiculous. I'm being paranoid. It was me, talking to myself while making breakfast. It's just a glitch. Technology breaks all the time. The recording was crystal clear. Every word, every breath, every sound of the coffee maker gurgling in the background. I'd been carrying the phone in my pocket all day, even though it was off. I threw the phone across the room. It hit the wall with a satisfying crack. For the rest of the day, I left it there, screen down on the floor. I went outside and didn't come back until dark. I made dinner by candlelight. I tried to read but couldn't focus. The phone sat in the corner like a dead animal I was too afraid to touch. At midnight, it lit up. The screen glowed blue in the darkness, even though I'd never turned it back on. A notification banner appeared. New note, conversation summary. My legs moved before my brain could stop them. I picked up the phone. The note was dated today. It read, "Subject expressed paranoia regarding device functionality. Verbalized distrust of technology. Attempted to disable monitoring by removing SIM card and powering down. No success. Subject is isolating. Mental state deteriorating as expected. Recommend continued passive observation." Ice flooded my veins. This wasn't my note. I hadn't written this. The clinical language, the detached tone, someone was documenting me. I opened the Notes app. There were dozens of them, all titled Conversation Summary, all dated since I'd arrived. Subject discussed burnout with therapist prior to departure, perfect candidate for extended trial. Subject believes she is choosing isolation, does not suspect orchestrated environment. Offline surveillance functioning optimally. Subject unaware that power off is simulated state only. My breathing turned shallow. I scrolled further back, beyond this trip. There were notes from weeks ago, months ago. Subject's anxiety levels make her ideal for compliance testing. Subject trusts technology less than average user, useful control variable. Someone had been watching me, recording me, analyzing me. Not just here, everywhere. I ran to the door, ready to drive straight back to the city, but my keys weren't on the hook. I tore through my bags, checked every pocket, upended the couch cushions. Gone. That's when I heard the footsteps on the porch. Margaret didn't knock. She used her own key. "I thought you might need some help," she said, holding up my car keys. They dangled from her finger like a taunt. "You left these in the ignition. Dangerous, leaving your car unlocked out here." I hadn't left them in the ignition. I never left them in the ignition. "What is this?" I held up my phone, voice cracking. "What did you do to me?" Margaret's expression didn't change. She pulled out her own phone, the same model as mine, and tapped something on the screen. "You agreed to the beta program," she said calmly. "When you updated your OS 3 months ago, you clicked accept without reading the terms. Everyone does." "Beta program?" The words felt thick in my mouth. "Neural surveillance technology. Your phone doesn't turn off anymore. Not really. It's always listening, always watching, always learning. We needed to test it in isolation, away from the noise of the city. See how long it takes users to notice." She smiled. "You lasted 3 days. That's actually impressive." My knees buckled. I grabbed the counter to stay upright. "The data we're collecting is revolutionary," Margaret continued. "Behavioral patterns, emotional responses, decision-making in crisis, all captured without the subject's conscious awareness. Your vacation, your burnout, your desperate need to disconnect, we've been cultivating it for months. The targeted ads about unplugging, the articles about digital wellness in your feed, even the argument with your boss that finally pushed you to book this trip, all designed." She stepped closer. I couldn't move. "The beautiful thing is, even now, you'll go home. You'll keep using your phone because you need it. Everyone needs it. And we'll keep watching, keep learning, keep perfecting the system." She placed my car keys on the counter. "You have 4 days left on your reservation. Try to enjoy them." She left, locking the door behind her. I stood alone in the cabin, my phone in my hand, its screen black but not dark, never truly dark again. Outside, the wind moved through the trees. Inside, a red recording light blinked softly in the corner of my device. Watching, always watching.